welcome back to another AnyRPG Development Livestream. In these videos, I livestream the development of the AnyRPG Engine, a free and open source role-playing game engine designed in Unity and written in C#. If you don't already have a copy of AnyRPG, you can pick one up from anyrpg.org/downloads in both Unity package and source code format. You can also find free copies of the games you see me working on at the same page. In this episode, I will be adding the ability to click a switch on a wall and move an object as a result of that. We already have some of the tooling in place we need to do that, like we can click on doors and such, but we don't have the ability to do it for remote objects. We'll be using two free assets in this episode: the Cartoon Temple Building Kit Lite by A3D, available from the Unity Asset Store. This is what we're using for our dungeon. And the free Sound FX Pack by Soundbits, also available on the Unity Asset Store. And we'll be using a sound effect while the bridge object is moving. So let's get started. We've got this level already from the last episode, and what I want to do basically is click this cross on the wall here, and then have this become a bridge that we can raise and lower. So to do that, what we'll need to do is create an object here and hook it up to our existing animate object capability, and then just create a ControlSwitch class to link this switch to that object down there. So what I want to do here is I'm going to copy the transform on this thing right here, and I'll make a new, I guess empty will be okay. And that new empty is going to be called the bridge container for now. And I will paste the component values there, so now the bridge container is exactly at the same spot as the lower platform right here. And what I want to do then is pull the lower platform into the bridge container, and then I want to grab the upper platform here and pull that into the bridge container as well. So now I have the entire bridge, and I can basically move it up and down. So what we'll do is we'll have it start way down here, and then we'll click the button and move it up so that we can walk over this great big hole over there. So to do that, what I will want to do is make this, we'll have the bridge container here, and then I'm going to create another empty underneath that, and we're going to call that one the bridge. The bridge container is basically here to serve as a reference point so that we can move everything relative to it and basically start at a convenient location of 0, 0, 0. So that just makes it a lot easier to do the math rather than trying to move the bridge container relative like to the rest of the level basically. So the bridge itself is an animated object, so we need to add the quest, or I mean the item animated object onto it. Then what we need to do is we need to create an interactable over here on this cross so that we can click on the cross. So to do that, I'm going to unpack this gate prefab right here, and then I'm going to unpack the wall platform fence, and then I'm going to unpack the cross as well. Now let's add an interactable component onto it, and we need to make sure that this cross has a mesh collider as well so that we can click on it. So we will add a mesh collider to it. And then our interactable name is going to be, let's just call it glowing switch. We're not going to glow on mouse over because it already has a glow built into it, and it's not a trigger. You actually have to walk up and click on it. We also have to basically, let me just check the animated object here, because the animated object gets a prefab profile from somewhere. When we pass it its new angle, it's getting its prefab profile from its interactable. Okay, so we're gonna have to change, actually, yeah, I think we might want to change the way that we're doing that. So basically, an animated object is an interactable option, but technically what we're about to do is attach it to something which isn't really an interactable. Let's go to the definition of interactable option here. And it has a reference to its interactable. I think actually the easiest thing to do is instead going to be, we'll keep this actually as an interactable, the bridge, the animated object, but what I want to do is actually suppress the ability to basically like hover over this thing or click on it. So we'll need to add some new functionality for that. And we'll also need to add a ControlSwitch class, and the ControlSwitch will be an interactable option. So I'm going to duplicate the animated object class, turn that into a ControlSwitch class, open it up in Visual Studio, change the class name to ControlSwitch, and basically we just need a reference on this thing to what object we're controlling. So we'll make a new serialized field here, and the object that we're controlling basically is another interactable option. So we'll have interactable option control object, and we don't need a coroutine because we're just basically going to proxy an interaction call. So when we interact with this one, we're just going to basically check If control object equals null, we'll return out of here. Otherwise, we will do base.interact, pop-up window.close interaction window, that's all good. And then next we want to basically just activate the control object, so control object dot interact, and we'll just pass on the character unit source, and that's pretty much it. We can get rid of that IEnumerator, and we don't have any coroutines to stop. So this is a pretty simple class. We'll let that compile here, just make sure we don't have any errors. Good, no errors. So now I want to go back to this cross here, and I'm going to call it ControlSwitch cross. I'm going to add the component to it, ControlSwitch. We have two of them, interestingly enough. This one's in the AnyRPG namespace. Wow, is there another ControlSwitch class? I'm kind of interested. What happens? That's one. What about the second one? Ah, that's neat. And this one is in the Viking village. Okay, well, that's fine. They're in different namespaces, so they won't interfere with each other. We'll take off that other one. So this one will be controlling the object, the bridge, basically. And for that, we'll need to add an interactable onto it, just to get the interactable option to work. And it won't be glow on mouse over. And let's see. This thing will basically need a prefab profile in order to spawn and give us, in order to give us information about where it's going to animate the bridge to. So to do that, we need to actually make a prefab profile for the bridge. So we'll go to the prefab profile directory. And somewhere in here, I think we have a prefab profile for a door. There, Sun Temple door left. So I'm going to Control D to duplicate that prefab profile, and I'm going to call this Ancient Temple Bridge. We'll set the resource name to Ancient Temple Bridge, and for the prefab we'll have to actually make a prefab for that. So we have this bridge right here. Let's just call it Ancient Temple Bridge, and then we'll go to the directory where we have the ancient temple imported. let's just clean up some of this stuff so we can see the project a little better. And then clean up a little more of this stuff here. Characters, okay, so Temple of Ancient Energy, and what I want to do then is actually create a new folder here called prefab, just so we can separate the prefab stuff from the imports, and then we'll pull the Ancient Temple Bridge into the prefab directory, and there, now we've got a nice bridge. So let's just take a look at the Sun Temple door left here and open up the prefab. And basically the Sun Temple door left is just a door. It has no scripts on it at all. So what we actually click on is the door frame. So what this means is that the bridge container is actually what has to have these scripts. So let's pull off the animated object script and pull off the interactable script over onto the bridge container. We will apply so that this is literally nothing but an object for us to move around. The prefab profile will be Ancient Temple Bridge. And that should be good. What we want to do is add a new option to interactable called like not clickable or something like that, because basically we want clickable to be the default. So we'll make a not clickable option. So we'll make a new serialized field, and this will be a private bool, not, call it not interactable. And we'll have that false by default. We will expose it with a property, and then just set. Actually, that's fine. Okay, and then save that. And basically, now we want to disable the ability to interact if not interactable is true. So can interact. Here, I think we can basically just do an if not interactable is true, then just return out of that. And in that case, return false. Then we'll take not interactable equals true here and return false, and then get valid interactables. If not interactable equals true, then we will return null. And get current interactables. Same thing pretty much. If not interactable equals true, return null. And on mouse over, if not interactable equals true, then just return. Don't do anything. on mouse out, same thing. If not interactable equals true, then just return out. And on trigger enter, if not interactable equals true, then just return out. And I think that's good. Okay, so that should basically disable any accidental interaction with an interactable when we click this box. In case there just happens to be a container that also just happens to have some sort of collider on it that we might accidentally be able to click. Alright, so now we can basically move this bridge around. For the animated objects, let's take a look at how we're moving those there basically. So we're going to start with the object considered to be closed. When we open it, we move it towards the sheathed rotation. And the sheathed position we'll have to add as well. So opening it will move it to where it is right now, which is at 0. So that means that the position is basic and the rotation is basically 0 when it's open. So now we want to pull this thing down and we'll check what the closed position rotation are. So like basically right below the ground right there. So it's at -8 in the regular starting position. So now we can go to the prefab profile for the ancient temple bridge now that we know what our open and closed values are. So the starting position has a y value of -8. And the sheath position, no rotation on it. And that looks pretty good. So then now we need to add some new functionality to this. I want a sound effect to play when we sheath it and when we unsheath it. So let's go into prefab profiles and under sheathed target bone, we'll add a new serialized field, and this will be a private string, sheath audio profile, and then we'll also want an unsheath audio profile. So we'll put that right underneath the regular target bone, and this is the unsheath audio profile. And what'll happen is when we move this thing, we will play the associated sound. So for that, let's go ahead and make our audio profile. I'm just going to clean up a little more of this stuff here. Okay, so now we should have somewhere up here an audio profile directory right here, and we have effects, and the one that we're going to be using is the drag and slide wooden crate. So I will call that wooden crate sliding, just to keep it the same as that. So we will make a new AnyRPG audio profile called wooden crate sliding. name up here is Wooden Crate Sliding, and the audio clip will be Wooden Dragon Slide Wooden Crate Sliding. Alright, and let's just listen to that for a second. This was like the best one that I could find. There are a couple of others that claim to be like sliding on rocks and stuff, but this is definitely an okay one for sliding this thing up as far as I'm concerned. So then the next thing that we want to do is go into the animated object. Right now we're only rotating animated objects, so we will want to instead be moving them as well. So we will pass in interactable.myprefabProfile, and instead of my rotation, I believe this one is going to be my position, and otherwise we will pass in my sheathed position, then the next thing that we want to do is accept those. So we'll add a new parameter here called vector3 and new position. We'll grab the vector3 original position equals interactable.mySpawnReference.transform.position, local position. And while not interactable.mySpawnReference.transform equals that, and we'll add an and to that, and actually we'll put the and not in there, make it a separate condition, and basically dot local position equals new position. Okay, then we're going to do going to have to move the thing basically. So interactable.mySpawnReference.transform.localPosition equals vector3.lerp between the current local position. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to we'll just make this a new vector3. So basically vector3 new position we'll call that new location because new position was already a parameter to this. So we're going to lerp between that and the new position. And I believe we've got a float t. So in this case, we'll call that movement speed, and then we'll have to go set a float movement speed up at the top. So we'll make a serialized field, and it will be a private float movement speed equals, and by default it's like per frame, so why don't we make it like 0.2f, and we'll just see how that works. And then I'm going to actually do another one for rotation speed as well, so private float rotation speed equals 10f, and then we can replace this hard-coded one down there with rotation speed, and now we've got movement speed and rotation speed. Then what we want to do is basically set this one's local position to the new location. So now our animated object is both moving and rotating. Now we need a way to actually play the sound. So what we want to do basically is when we enter this routine, we'll play it. So let's do that. I want to play the sound off of the animated object. So that means that I want the bridge itself to be to have the audio object on it. Okay, so what that means is basically the ancient temple bridge here. Just let this compile. Actually needs to get a audio source on it. So we'll add an audio source. We will set the spatial blend to 3D with a linear roll-off of approximately 50 yards. It's not going to play any sounds on awake. It's not going to have an audio clip. We will add it to the prefab ancient temple bridge, and the output will be the mixer group effects, because this is an effect. We will apply that to the ancient temple bridge, and then we'll go back into the code here, and we'll need to set that. So let's see if we can get the audio source. So audio source equals interactable.mySpawnReference.get component, and we want to get the component the audio source. If the audio source does not equal null, and that's the audio source with the lowercase a, and we don't know whether we're sheathing or unsheathing this object currently, so we might as well just pass in the audio profile as well. So this will be interactable.myPrefabProfile, and in the case that we are unsheathing it, we want unsheath audio profile, but we haven't exposed that yet. So what we want to do actually is call that unsheath audio profile name and sheath audio profile name, because we have to get references to the actual profiles. No, you know what? Actually, we need to link. No, actually we can do this. This is fine because this is a describable resource. We need to add a setup scriptable objects method. So this will be a public override void setup scriptable objects. And here, if our sheathed audio profile name does not equal null and sheathed audio profile name does not equal string.empty, then we want to make a reference to it. So audio profile tmp audio profile equals system audio profile manager dot myInstance dot get resource, and we will get the sheath audio profile name. If the tmp audio profile does not equal null, then, and this is where we actually need to make a new private variable, so private audio profile sheath audio profile, and then we need to do the same thing for the unsheathed audio profile. So audio profile unsheathed audio profile. Then in this case we're trying to grab the sheathed one, so sheathed audio profile equals tmp audio profile. Otherwise there was an error, so we should log an error, and this error will be unable to find audio profile sheath audio profile while initializing my name. Alright, and then we need to do that for the unsheathed audio profile as well, so we'll copy that. And if unsheathed audio profile name does not equal null and unsheathed audio profile name does not equal string.empty, then get the resource based on unsheathed audio profile name, and if that worked, then set unsheathed audio profile, otherwise give a message about unsheathed audio profile, and the message should actually say prefab profile.setup scriptable objects, just to let us know what call. And here we actually need check inspector because this is an issue that the user needs to fix. So we'll add this text as well to the beginning of that message, and then add this at the end over here. Save that, and now we're ready to actually refer to these things. So in this case we're sending in unsheathed, right, we still haven't actually exposed those yet. So unsheathed audio profile, quick actions and refactorings, and encapsulate it, and sheath audio profile, quick actions and refactoring, and encapsulate it. Now we can refer to them, so unsheathed audio profile, and in the case that we're sheathing, we will pass in interactable.myprefabprofile.sheath audio profile. Okay, now we need to accept those, so audio profile is good enough, and if the audio source does not equal null and the audio profile does not equal null and the audio profile dot my audio clip does not equal null, then we're going to play it. So audio source dot play audio source with a lowercase a dot play one shot, playing the audio profile dot my audio clip. And now we can save prefab profile here, go back into Unity, see if it all compiles properly. looks good. I think it's time to test this. We're gonna uncheck the bridge now to disable it, and we will be spawning a bridge instead. So this thing is going to start off empty. This thing might give us an error. In fact, actually, I'm pretty sure that it's going to. Our interactable wants to have a nameplate unit, I think. There. So let me just check all references to that. We may actually be okay. Update nameplate image, that's fine. Actually, I think we might be okay. We'll try it out, see how it works. So I'll go into the load game. Actually, you know what? I think our ControlSwitch cross is missing its reference to the control object. Yeah. Okay, so the control object is the bridge container animated object. And we actually want to check not interactable on the bridge container. And actually, let me just check the control switch, just make sure control object.interact. Yeah, okay. I think that's good. So now we'll go to the load game manager. And let's press play and see if that works. We'll load up our tester, who's over in the temple. And I'm just going to kill this spider here. Alright, so this is good. I think I need to move it a little bit further down because we've got this sort of weirdness happening there, but this is pretty cool. I'm just going to jump into the hole here. Okay, awesome. The glowing switch, that's perfect. It doesn't have a nameplate unit on it. Interestingly enough, that's his mana seal controls, but shouldn't the mana seal controls are like way down there. Okay, cool. So now we're stuck in the hole, and I'm going to add some stairs in here eventually because we don't want our player to get stuck, but now we can go test the switch. So let's go test that. We'll just press play, reload the level. We're just going to kill this spider here real quick. Alright, and let's go over and click that. Alright, and nothing's happening. So I think we need to write some debug messages and figure out what's going on there. Yeah, you know, honestly, it might even just be that I'm too small to touch the thing. It might have to be in range or something like that. Because it is pretty high up there. Okay, so let's just try moving it downwards a little bit, and just write a few debug messages here. So for animated object, we'll just write a debug there. And when we start the animate object, we'll just write a debug to let us know that happened. And if prefab profile was null, we want to know that as well. Okay, then on our control switch, we also want to know that we interacted with that. So Control-Shift-S for all those. And then I'm just going to go move that thing downwards a little bit because it's actually like outside of my hitbox right now. And I'm not sure if I can interact with it outside of my hitbox. So let's load up the Temple of Ancient Energy. And I'm just going to move that cross downwards just to test if I stick it like where my character is. Will I properly interact with it? The other thing I want to know, basically, I think I'm just going to make this mesh collider convex. Yeah, and that should be okay. It has no prerequisite conditions, and this thing, the control switch, also has no prerequisite conditions. So we'll save that and try loading the game again. And then let's just see if we can get, if we can click on that object, see what happens now. Okay, we're just going to take out this little chibi dude here. Heal ourselves a little bit. Now we have this glowing switch. We're going to click on it. Alright, so let's just check what happened. It looks like we told it to animate the object to a new angle of 0, so we actually did get that. I think we might have the values backward though. So we'll put also the new position here. And let's actually just check what the original position and rotation are. And we'll save that. And jump out of the game. So by default, they should be closed because object open is false, which means that by default they should be animating towards their sheathed position and rotation. Okay, so this means if we go look once again at our ancient temple bridge, I think I had that wrong. No, actually that's right. Okay, so yeah, they're supposed to be going towards their sheath position and rotation, but for whatever reason it's not. Now, when we sheath, I don't think I added the audio profile there. So this was wooden crate sliding. And actually we totally have the wrong prefab. We have the Sun Temple door left for whatever reason. We want the ancient temple bridge. Okay. Let's save that. I'm kind of surprised actually that we even had the bridge there. Or I mean, the door wasn't showing. Let's just go back and take a look at the Temple of Ancient Energy and just make sure that nothing else was misconfigured there. So we have the bridge container, which has a prefab profile of Ancient Temple Bridge, a spawn delay of 0, no despawn reference, no prerequisite conditions. Let me just make sure that we're not failing to actually spawn the unit due to dropping out because it's not interactable. So we check can spawn. Let's see. In the start method, we run base.start. We don't spawn any interactables there. Let's see, initialize components. Let's see where we're actually spawning this thing. Down in spawnable. So start spawn gets called in handle prerequisite updates. And that is called hopefully automatically. On handle player unit spawn. Okay, so let's just make sure that that's being called. Write a message just to let us know that we're actually spawning this thing here. And let's go check that out. So we'll go back to the Load Game Manager. And save everything and press play. Okay, so it said that it spawned the bridge. Let's just go take a look at the level and see if it actually did. So we have our bridge container, and we do have an ancient temple bridge. If I hit F to focus on it, I can see that it's down there, and it's got an audio source. Its Y position is correct. Actually, the rest of its position are okay too. Apparently, although it's interesting, this is the bridge container right here. And if we look at this thing's position, it has a -8 on the X, which is a little odd because if we look at the bridge container, they're like pretty much identical. And this one has a -1.5 on the Z, which also seems a little bit strange. Okay, so let's unpause this and go over and click on this thing again. So the sound played, which was good. Let's go back to the console. We're attempting to animate this thing towards that from the original. However, it appears to not be moving. So I think we need to see what's going on in the update method there. So while the local Euler angles don't equal the new angle, and the local position does not equal the new position, then we're going to keep doing this stuff. We'll put done rotation and position here to let us know if we ever reach that. And we'll also put the new position in here. And the original position there. And why don't we do that exact same thing at the end, and then just put a complete animation. And that'll let us know basically if we somehow make it to the end of that thing. And let's just check this vector3.lerp here. Looks okay. I don't know. We'll try that again, just see what the debug messages say. Okay, let's pause this. We got the handle player unit spawn, that's good. We're going to click it. And for some reason, it has ended that loop immediately. So that's really interesting because it managed to end the loop without the new position and the new angle actually matching. Maybe I'm going to try just changing that logic a little bit. Because I don't see how it actually could have found that condition to be true. Just going to go over and just click it right away. So we jump into the animation. It's got its original position and rotation there. And it just ends the loop immediately. Of course, because this actually needs to be an or statement. Yeah, really bad logic there. Okay, so basically, as soon as it reached the new angle, it was automatically exiting that. Okay, it's a little bit too late at night for me. I make really basic mistakes like that. Alright, so let's try this again. Just gonna take out this chibi mummy, head over to the switch. Alright, now that moved super, super, super fast, like way faster than it was supposed to. So let's go slow that down a little bit. So we'll go to the ancient temple bridge prefab profile. Actually, yeah. Is it this one? No. We want to change the actual speed. So the speed is actually in the item in the scene there. And that's in the Temple of Ancient Energy. And this is it right here. So let's do 0.01 for the movement speed. And save that. And then see how that works. So we'll go over here and we'll click on it. Alright, very cool. Of course, it's lerping, so it's never gonna actually reach that location. So we should change that, definitely. So in this case, let's see, we have vector3 dot move towards. I think we'll do that instead of lerp. And we'll save that. And let's load up the game again and try that. Alright, so now it's going like way too slow, and that I think has a lot to do with the fact that we just changed from move towards to lerp. So let's just jump back into the scene. And actually, what I'm going to do here, I don't even have to jump back into the scene. We can just tweak this on animated object directly. I'm going to remove the serialization on this field, and I'm just going to set the movement speed to some other value, like 0.1f. We wanted it to move about 3 times as fast as it was there. Let's try 0.1f and just see how it works, actually. Okay, that was a little bit fast. We'd probably do maybe half as fast as that. So 0.05f. And let's try that. Okay, that was like perfect. The sound effect matched up exactly. We're gonna go take a wander over the bridge. And now we can get through to the end of the level. Awesome. Okay, cool. It's working. Took a little longer than I expected. Bunch of troubleshooting, but it is a very cool effect. And now what this gives us the power to do is, in our game, we can place switches in completely different rooms, and we can like have things blocking hallways, and now we can actually go make like a real puzzle dungeon by moving these pieces around. I'm actually interested to see if I can actually close this thing. Oh, you totally can. I should just set the sound effect on it both ways there. Wow, that is so awesome. I'm in love with this new feature. I hope you are too. I hope you enjoyed that. As always, if you did, then don't forget to thumbs up the video, subscribe to the Cohesion YouTube channel, or just leave a note in the comments. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next time.